See, most people run from isolation. They think being alone means being broken, unwanted, forgotten. But let me tell you something. I was never more alive than when I had no one but me. When the calls stopped coming, when the help dried up, when even the closest ones didn't see the vision. That's when I met the real version of myself. That's when I became dangerous. And that's when I became a one-man army. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Sometimes the crowd weakens you. Sometimes the noise blinds you. Sometimes having too many people around is the very thing stopping you from hearing the one voice that matters most, your own. I didn't find my purpose in a group chat. I didn't discover my drive in a room full of support. Nah, I found it in silence, in the quiet nights, in the echo of my own breath when I was too tired to move, too broken to think straight, but still too stubborn to quit. You think strength looks like a team? Strength is when you've got nothing and you still wake up at 4 a.m. You still grind, you still pray, you still plan, you still move, you still act like the world is watching, even when no one is. That's strength. And guess what? That kind of strength doesn't get built in comfort. It gets built in the trenches of solitude. When you're hungry and there's no one to feed you. When you're dreaming and no one claps. When you're pushing and no one believes. That's where the foundation is poured. People always say, don't do it alone. And look, I get it. Connection is beautiful. But if you ever want to know what you're really made of, do it alone first. Don't depend on handouts. Don't wait for a round of applause. Don't expect people to carry your vision like you do, because they won't. They can't. They weren't given your dream. That blueprint wasn't emailed to them. It was whispered to you in the dark when you were crying on the floor, when you were broke and tired and nobody answered the phone. That dream was birthed in your pain, not theirs. See, the wilderness is where lions are born. Not the zoo, not the stadium, not the party, in the wild. In the chaos, in the isolation. That's where your instincts come alive. That's where your senses sharpen. That's where you stop looking for permission and start building momentum. That's where I became unstoppable, alone. I didn't always know this though. I used to chase people. I used to think if I just get the right mentor, the right opportunity, the right connection. But life said, no, learn how to make a way with nothing. And so I did. I built with scraps. I trained with pain. I studied in silence. I cried in silence. I grew in silence. And one day I roared. I woke up and realized I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't hoping anymore. I was doing. And that roar came from years of being alone, not from being surrounded. People don't understand that kind of journey. They look at you and think you're antisocial, arrogant, cold. But what they don't see is that every step you took was forged in a fire they couldn't survive. They don't understand the weight of carrying dreams on your back when your legs are shaking. They don't see the discipline of saying no to comfort when all you want is rest. They don't know what it's like to climb a mountain no one else even sees. And the truth is, they don't have to. Because that journey isn't for them. It's for you. That's what being a one-man army is all about. It's not about ego. It's not about pride. It's about grit. It's about understanding that the world doesn't owe you understanding. The dream doesn't care about your excuses. And destiny shows up for those who show up for themselves, even when they're the only ones in the room. You got to stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to pick you. Pick yourself. Choose yourself. Stand up and say, I might not have much, but I have me. And that's enough to get started. I didn't need permission to grind. I didn't need approval to evolve. I didn't need validation to walk in purpose. I just decided, I drew the line and said, this is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to build. And even if I have to bleed for it, sweat for it, fight for it, I'll do it alone. And the craziest part, once you do it alone, the world can't stop you. They can't take credit for it. They can't take it from you. Because it wasn't gifted, it was earned. That's what makes the one-man army so lethal. Jack Graham said, there's no plan B, no backup squad, just vision, pain, and relentless execution. So if you're in the dark right now, wondering if you're enough, you are. If you're grinding with no recognition, keep going. If no one sees you yet, see yourself. That quiet season isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're not being buried, you're being planted. And when you rise, you'll rise unshakable because you weren't made in the spotlight, you were made in the shadows. And that changes everything. Let me tell you the real truth. Before anyone believed in me, I had to believe in myself. And I'm not talking about that soft, cute kind of belief. I'm talking about the belief that don't make sense. The kind of belief that laughs in the face of evidence. The kind of belief that gets up off the floor when everything in your life says, stay down. See, when you're building something from nothing, belief ain't optional. It's survival. When nobody's clapping, nobody's investing, nobody's watching, you better believe anyway. Because if you don't, you're done. The world will bury you. Life will throw dirt on your dream like it's a funeral. But when you believe, really believe, you come back, you rise, you keep showing up like the victory is already written. I remember waking up some days and looking around like, this is it? This is all I got? And something inside me had to answer back, yeah, but it's enough because I've still got me. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You don't need 10 people. You don't need a fan club. You don't need some big name to co-sign your future. You need to look in the mirror and co-sign yourself. You better sign off on your dream. You better stamp it with your own approval. Because if you don't believe, you'll never make the moves that matter. You'll never take the leap. You'll never risk it all. And that's the difference between people who talk and people who build. Builders believe before there's proof. Builders start walking before the path is clear. Builders speak life over their dream, even when everyone else is speaking doubt. You know what I learned? The first weapon in this war is not talent. It's not money. It's not connections. It's belief. Because belief fuels discipline. Belief fuels consistency. Belief fuels sacrifice. You don't grind like this if you don't believe it's going to work. You don't wake up tired, push through pain, and fight through setbacks unless you've got that fire inside that says, I'm not quitting till it's done. And belief ain't loud. It's not always flashy. Sometimes belief sounds like whispers in your mind at 2 a.m. Keep going. Sometimes belief looks like wiping tears off your face. Then getting back to work like nothing happened. Sometimes belief feels like running on fumes, but running anyway. You don't have to shout to prove you believe. Your consistency will scream it for you. See, everybody wants the world to validate them before they move. Tell me I'm good enough. Tell me I'm ready. Nah, you got to tell yourself. Because let me break it down for you. There's a gap between the start and the spotlight. There's a long walk between your first step and people clapping. And in that gap, in that silence, you better carry belief like armor. You better wear it like skin. Had belief kept me alive. When the checks didn't clear, when the people disappeared, when the doors slammed, I kept saying to myself, it's not over. This is not how the story ends. I'm built for this. I've got something the world hasn't seen yet, and I'm going to show them. You've got to have the kind of belief that makes you do crazy things. Wake up early when there's no boss. Study hard when there's no test. Build big when there's no money. Speak life when there's only silence. You've got to become your own hype man, your own motivator, your own coach. Because sometimes nobody's coming. And if you're waiting on them, you'll wait forever. But if you move with belief, you start a fire. And once that fire's lit, they can't unsee it. They can't ignore you. You become undeniable. But it starts with that internal decision. I believe in this. I believe in me, and I'm willing to go the distance for it. You know what belief really is? It's permission. Permission to be great. Permission to be consistent. Permission to build without claps. Permission to lose and try again and again and again because you still believe even after they laughed. You don't get to greatness without belief. You don't change your family's legacy without belief. You don't become the blueprint, the standard, the example without belief. You have to speak it before they see it. You have to build it before they understand it. You have to fight for it before they support it. So if you're sitting in a season right now where no one believes in you, good. Let that fuel you. Let that become the reason you go harder. Don't wait for someone to validate what God already placed in you. Don't shrink your vision just because they don't see it. Stand up, lock in, and declare to yourself, I believe. And that's all I need to begin. Because once you believe, really believe, you become unstoppable. Let me break it down for you. Discipline is the real currency. Not claps, not likes, not applause, not recognition. Discipline. Because when the lights go out and the crowd is gone, you know what you're left with? Habits, routines, standards. That's what separates those who talk about it from those who live it. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation walks out the door. See, everybody wants to be great until it's time to do the things greatness requires. Everybody's excited on day one. Everybody posts about the grind in January. But check back in June. Check back when it's cold, when it's quiet, when nobody's watching. The question is, can you still show up then? I didn't get here because I was the most talented. I didn't get here because people believed in me more than the next person. I got here because I kept showing up. When it was boring, when it was hard, I was in the gym when nobody was watching. I was writing, working, building when the phone wasn't ringing. I kept preparing like the opportunity was already mine because I understood this one thing. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. So I stopped relying on hype. I stopped needing perfect circumstances. I just locked in every day, no matter what. And guess what? That kind of consistency is rare. That's why it's powerful. Because when people know they can count on you, not sometimes, not when it's easy, but every single day, you become dangerous. You become dependable. You become unshakable. That's what a one-man army looks like. You keep going when the room is silent. You stay focused when the world is distracted. You get up, grind, and execute like it's game day, even if the scoreboard is empty. I remember days when I would pour my heart out, give everything I had, and it felt like nobody noticed. And that's when the voice in my head had to speak up. Keep going. This isn't for applause. This is for legacy. This is for mastery. This is for the version of you that's still coming. Because discipline is about becoming, not just achieving. It's about who you are when nobody's around. You think the greats need motivation every day? You think people at the top of their game feel like doing it all the time? No. They just made a decision that their purpose was more important than their feelings. That their future was more important than temporary emotions. And so they locked in. They got up early. They studied when others slept. They practiced when others party. And eventually, all those small, consistent, boring actions, they turned into excellence. That's what I did, and that's what I'm still doing. Because I learned real quick, if you live for claps, you'll die without them. If you need validation to stay committed, you're not ready. You've got to want this so bad that even if no one ever says your name, you'd still do the work. Even if the world never claps, you'd still keep your standards high. That's discipline. That's legacy. You want to change your life? Ooh. Stop looking for applause. Start looking in the mirror and asking, did I keep my word to myself today? Because that's where the confidence comes from. That's where the growth lives, not in the hype, not in the moment, but in the repetition, in doing it again and again and again, until it becomes who you are. I didn't need an audience to become consistent. I didn't need followers to develop discipline. I made a promise to myself that I would outlast the noise, outwork the trends, and outgrow every version of me that ever thought average was acceptable. I made that decision alone, and I kept it alone. So if you're building something right now and nobody sees you, good. Build anyway. Build like the world depends on it. Because your world does. And one day the same people who ignored your discipline will have to respect your results. But you didn't do it for them. You did it because you decided mediocrity was no longer an option. And when the results come, when the breakthrough shows up, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't hype. It wasn't applause. It was you. Quiet, focus, relentless, discipline. And that changes everything. Let me tell you some real. The reward isn't just a win. It's not just the money, the spotlight, the house, the title. The real reward is who you become in the process. See, everybody's chasing results, but they're missing the point. You don't just grind to get the trophy. You grind because the process makes you worthy of holding it. When I say I did it alone, it's not just about doing the work. It's about becoming the kind of person who could handle the blessing when it finally came. The kind of person who wouldn't fumble it, who wouldn't fold under pressure, who wouldn't let success go to their head or failure stop their feet. I had to become that person. And that didn't happen overnight. That happened through pain, through delay, through discipline, through silence. There were times when I wanted to quit, not because I didn't want the dream, but because the pressure to keep becoming someone stronger every day felt like too much. But something in me kept whispering, don't stop. Don't you dare stop. You're being forged in this. And I realized the goal wasn't just to get there, it was to grow there. Because let's be honest, we all want the destination, but few are willing to endure the transformation it takes to arrive. The person I was at the beginning, he couldn't carry what I have now. He wasn't ready. He wanted quick success, fast validation, easy pass. But the process had different plans. The process said, nah, you don't need a platform, you need patience. You don't need followers, you need focus. You don't need praise, you need pressure. Pressure will either crush you or create you, and the only difference is how you respond. I chose to let it create me. Every time life broke me down, I asked, what am I supposed to learn here? Every time I was left out, overlooked, underestimated, I use it not to get bitter, but to get better. Not to seek revenge, but to seek refinement. Because I wasn't just working on a dream, I was working on me. And let me tell you, that work, that's the hardest part. The real war ain't on the outside, it's internal. It's waking up and fighting off doubt. It's silencing that voice in your head that says, you're not good enough, you'll never make it. Who you think you are? And every time that voice showed up, I had to fight back with the new me, the version that was being built through consistency, character, and commitment. That's why I don't glorify the destination. I respect the journey. I respect the struggle. I respect the days I wanted to throw in the towel and didn't. Because those days made me. Those days taught me how to lead, how to love, how to serve, how to show up when nobody else would, how to protect what I was building, how to own who I was becoming. It's funny when you finally make it, people think you just popped up, like you just appeared one day. But they don't see the layers of who you've become along the way. They don't see the sacrifices, the nights you wrestled with your own demons, the times you prayed for strength just to take one more step. They don't see how you had to change the way you think, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, not because anyone told you to, but because the old version of you didn't match the future you were chasing. And that's why I say the reward is you. You are the reward. The disciplined you, the focused you, the healed you, the resilient you, the version that doesn't flinch when storms come, the version that doesn't fold when things get hard. That's the part people can't steal. That's the part success can't corrupt and failure can't erase. That's the part you earned. You start realizing this isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving me right. This isn't about showing the world how strong you are. It's about becoming the kind of person who never needed applause to stay strong. The kind of person who's rooted in purpose, not tossed around by praise or criticism. The kind of person who knows deep down that I became everything I said I would, not because it was easy, but because I refused to be average. And hear me, there's a quiet kind of power that comes from that. Confidence that don't need to brag. A peace that don't need permission. A strength that was built in silence. When you've gone through the fire and didn't let it destroy you, you start walking different. Not arrogant, just grounded. Just grateful. Because you know what it cost you to get here? You remember the isolation. The days you doubted your sanity. The mornings you had to drag yourself up because nobody was coming to save you. And you look back and say, wow, I became the kind of person I used to pray I'd meet. That's the reward. Not just the success, not just the platform, but the person you became when no one was watching. That's the whole message. The journey was never just about getting to the top. It was about becoming the kind of warrior who could stand at the top and say, I built this with blood, sweat, and tears, and I do it all over again. Because when you look in the mirror and you respect who you become, not what you have, but who you are, that changes everything.